Welcome on in, race fans, to tonight's event here in Rockingham. Here at Rockingham in North Carolina, I should say. Tonight, it's going to be race number 8 on the season for the All-American Racing League, and it is just myself here in the booth tonight, as it was 1 week ago in Richmond. Though today, we are no longer under the lights. Today's challenge will be under the beating sun here in North Carolina. Looks like a pretty clear day out there. The track will be a little slick. The temps will be up, and of course, the driver's ability behind the wheel will be tested as always. Drivers are just now wrapping up the final bits of practice here, final couple of minutes. And speaking of the active practice session for race number 8 out of 24, top of the board is Jamie Walker, though for much of practice, it was actually Cody Gibson top of the timing charts. So as some final qualifying runs are being laid down, looks like driver number 20 has put himself back on top and looks to finally break through into victory lane. Jamie Walker, of course, a driver who we have seen do very well multiple weeks over, still chasing that first career win here in the All-American Racing League. Today could very well be the day for that Chevy Camaro. And of course, Cody Gibson's still up there towards the top of the board. Cody Gibson's got a race win already. Last week in Richmond, a week to forget for sure for driver number 7. Looking to bounce back this week with a good performance here in Rockingham, a track that I know he's had success at in other leagues before. Still out there with that Christmas paint scheme on that number 7. Rounding out the podium in practice so far this hour is Nick Crawford, driver returning to the lineup. Driver we haven't seen out there getting that 74 up towards the front and continue to make a name for himself. Though when he, recently, I should finish that sentence, but when he is out there, that 74 is a force to be reckoned with. Going to be looking for the opportunity to come back out here and put his name back up towards the front is Mr. Crawford. And with that, we are down to the final 2 minutes of qualifying. We'll see who else we've got out on track. We got Josh Kanata right here in the 16, changing up those colors to the black base for that Toyota Supra. We know Kanata's good in qualifying, and as a matter of fact, Kanata just recently breaking through here in the All-American Racing League. Another driver who we can expect to see up towards the front time and time again. Recently breaking through in Charlotte for his first win here in the All-American Racing League. As a matter of fact, speaking of winners, we have still got ourselves a fun little situation in that through the first 7 races of this series and of this season, we have had 7 different winners. There is no repeat winner in the history of the All-American Racing League through 7 races. At some point, that streak's got to come to an end. But even despite having 7 different winners, there are still at least 3 to 4 I can name off the top of my head who are very capable of going out and winning a race any given day. One of which, a driver we haven't talked about too much this season, is Chris Carroll in the 51. Currently sits P3 on the timing charts with a recent lap right there. Could this week be the turnaround for driver 51, who has not started out this season the way he would have wanted? All to be revealed and more as this session gets ready to switch on over to qualifying in about 30 seconds or so. But to give you a little recap on tonight's event, we're here in Rockingham for another 200 laps, much like it was last week in Richmond. 200 laps here. Stage 1 is going to end at the conclusion of lap 50. Stage 2 at the conclusion of lap 110. All numbers we're familiar with from the last time out. We do, however, have the addition of the in-season tournament. That's going to be a new thing that I'll try to keep you guys updated on as we go throughout the course of tonight's event. But we do have the in-season tournament starting. There are 16 drivers who are competing in a bracket against one another, and I will go over those as I find the opportunity to do so. But qualifying is here. Let's go ahead and see who the first drivers are to light up and make their way out on track. And as is so often the case, it's going to be driver 16, Josh Kanata, the first one to make an attempt to out on track in that Toyota Supra. Already got a win on the season, looking to add another to the tally. And as a matter of fact, Josh Kanata is one of our in-season tournament participants here, currently seated third in the bracket. That puts Josh Kanata up against Dakota Moniz in the 0-5 this week. Highest finisher of the two advances into the next round, which will be next week's race in, I believe, Michigan. 3, 3, and 4 we go, though, for the first time. Josh Kanata in the 16 is going to bring it across the line and begin the lap that should be the hot lap, the second go-around, that first time on the board as people's times start to roll in right here. For Josh Kanata, is going to be a 23.8, about 0.2 off of Cody Gibson's lap one time. But here we go. We'll stick with Kanata through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Let's see where driver 16 can put himself for the start of tonight's event. With that line right there, that's going to put Kanata P2 on the board of 23.64. Cody Gibson still on provisional pole as we watch Chris Carroll come off of turn 4 for the final time. That 51's going to cross the line and go P2 on the timing charts behind Jamie Walker, who is our new pole sitter, by 8/1000ths of a second. We jump over to Brian Zimmerman, driver of the 22. Going to take this Chevy Camaro through turns 3 and 4 for the final time and see what Zimmerman can do. Had a fantastic showing last week in Richmond, and while the result wasn't what he would have been hoping for, a 22 car is here to compete. He's going to put it P6 on the board with that attempt right there. Switch over to car 83. That's William Bruton, another driver who is eager to forget about last week in Richmond. Going to get loose into turn 3 right here. That rear end's going to step out, and I don't think we're going to see an improvement on lap 2 for the driver now sitting in P15. Jump over to a couple others. Tanner Marr on track, driver in the 4 car. Another one involved in issues in Richmond. About half the field, not even, maybe 3/4 of the field last week in Richmond were involved in one incident or another. Across the line for the final time for Tanner Marr, we're going to put that 4 car in P11 and jump over to the 50 of Sam Garcia, bringing that bright pink and white 50 car down into turn 3, looking to hammer home 3 and 4, bring it to the line and see where he can put that 50 car. Garcia currently sits P9 on the board, but across the line right here, we're going to make that 50 car stay right there. P9 it is. Hop over to Joseph Klein in the 5 car. See where that 5 car goes. P7 on the board with that second time around. And that leaves us with Matthew Pavlik on track in the 30 machine for the final time through turns 3 and 4. Let's see where that bright green 30 Camaro can put it across the line. That is going to be P17 on the board for Matt Pavlik. And with that, we've got just a driver or two out on track doing some extra practice laps, but otherwise, nobody else out there. We can watch Nick Crawford in the 74 as he makes a couple additional laps here that won't count for time, but always an option to these drivers if they feel the need to go out there and just get a couple laps last minute in before the very start. And then he's going to throw it into turn 1 right there. Probably knows he's on TV. No other drivers out on track, and that looks to be our provisional lineup. We'll wait for the session to officially end, but it looks like we have our starting lineup set in stone. We actually do have one driver making it out on track. Trevor Harmon got about 40 seconds. We'll probably get one lap in, one representative lap before being cut off by the session time. Let's see what driver 029 can do off of turn 4 to begin the one and only lap, more than likely. No, certainly the only lap. Not using F1 rules here. We'll see what old Harmon can do down the back straightaway in that Supra down into turn 3 right here. Keep it pinned down towards the bottom of the track. Not taking a big arc. Some drivers electing to, others not. Going to keep it down shallow on exit and across the line for the 029 right as time expires. Did the lap time count? It did not. Ugh. That is really unfortunate. All right. With that, I'm going to hide our ticker right there, and let's take a look, shall we, at our starting lineup right here, starting with the pole sitter, fastest driver on track, Jamie Walker, driver of that bright orange 20 Home Depot machine. Get our camera sorted here. We got Chris Carroll on the outside of the front row in his best qualifying effort of the season in the 51 car. Row 2 is going to consist of Cody Gibson and Brad Holmes, another great qualifying effort for Brad. The top 5 is rounded out by Josh Kanata, and alongside Brian Zimmerman. 7th place is going to be Joseph Klein in the 5 car and Nolan Mills in the 1. Rounding out the top 10, Nick Crawford and Samuel Garcia. In P11, it's going to be Joshua O'Brien and Tanner Marr in P12. In P13, it's going to be Ryan Rose and Zachary Wake alongside. 15th is going to be Dakota Moniz, followed by Larry Bell. 17th and 18th, Matthew Pavlik and Jackson West. And rounding out row 10 is going to be William Bruin and Christopher Norris. 21st, Caleb West. 22nd, Rob Higgs Jr. 23rd, Mark Arthur. 24th, Trevor Harmon. And rounding out the field of 27, we have Sam Dyer, Brian Troy, Antonio Bannister. And with that, we are ready to get this race started. 200 laps tonight here at the Rock. 200 laps around one of the most skill-intense tracks on the calendar. Most drivers will tell you these guys are going to have their hands full. Passing is not going to be easy. You're going to have to watch over those tires and manage what you've got over the course of the race. Got to watch out for that wall, especially out of turn 2. It will come up to bite you. We'll probably see a number of incidents on the back straightaway coming out of turn 2. Single car or multi-car, whatever the case. All common events here around Rockingham as these drivers begin to roll behind the iRacing.com pace car for what should be a single pace lap here before we get the green flag action underway. Let me know out in the comments, those of you guys who are watching at home, who are you out there supporting? Who are you rooting on? Who are you watching for? Whether it's one driver or a team of drivers. Put some names out there. Let me know who you're all supporting out there. I know a lot of these drivers have friends and family who like to keep up and watch. Big part of the fun. All right, row 1, excuse me. Jamie Walker, Chris Carroll. Row 2, Cody Gibson and Brad Holmes, and that Andy's frozen custard machine. Row 3, Josh Kanata, Brian Zimmerman. Here we are then. Field is in the hands of Barney the Flagman with that green flag getting ready on this first restart. Pace car is going to pull off right here, and we are ready to go for round 8 of the season here in the All-American Racing League. We are already 3 wide further back in the field as Cody Gibson in the 7 car gets a bad start. That bunches up the field, but it looks like everyone's starting to get it sorted out up towards the front. Chris Carroll tried to pressure Jamie Walker into turn 1, but it is not going to stick, and Jamie Walker is going to lead lap number 1 across the line, bringing the rest of the field in tow. Most everyone has single filed out at this point, but the battle is now on for P4 on track. Cody Gibson trying to make up for lost time, and we've got a yellow flag issues for the 39 of Zachary Wake already here on lap number 2. It is going to be the first caution of the evening, and we are going to queue up a replay or two. I also want to get a replay of the race, start of the race, but let's take a look right here. Let's see if we can't grab a blimp view right here. We'll be pretty zoomed out, but you're looking at the car in the center of the screen. Orange decals, or actually, as a matter of fact, to the outside of the 78 right there. Those two cars look so similar. It looks like the 78 of Ryan Rose gets into the corner right on the left side of Wake, and they kind of come together in an uncomfortable spot. That just sends the 78 up into Wake to sort of finish him off, as it were. And it looks like Larry Bell gets a little bit of nose damage getting checked up right there, but for the most part, everyone makes it through pretty good. That is, that's not bad, all things considered. Let's get another view, and we can, of course, speed it up to the normal speed. 2 drivers racing hard for the same amount of real estate. I don't make the decisions around here, but that looks like a racing incident to me if I have ever seen one. No harm, no foul for the most part. Zachary Wake gets through unscathed other than the track position. And with that, I would also like to take a look. Let's go back to the green flag. Let's go back to the very start of the race with Cody Gibson right here. And let's ride on board and take a listen. Looks like some really bad wheel spin combined with not getting shifted into third gear right away for the 7 car, and that stacked up the entire field behind on that initial start. And luckily everyone got through. That's the kind of incident that can go very poorly a lot of the time on a race start. But we all survived. We're good to go. And now, behind the iRacing.com pace car, Jamie Walker leads, Chris Carroll in second, Brad Holmes is up a spot, he's in third, Josh Kanata's up a spot, he's in fourth, and Cody Gibson rounds out our top 5, falling 2 positions from the initial start of the race. While we're at it, we can take a look at some of our bracket matchups here as we enter the first round of the in-season tournament. Jamie Walker, our current race leader, he's a part of the tournament. He's battling Nick Crawford in the 74, driver who currently runs P9. That is a competitive matchup if I have ever seen one, and one that I'm sure Jamie will be looking to lock down and make sure he wins. Other drivers up towards the front that are a part of the bracket tournament. We already covered Josh Kanata. Cody Gibson back there in P5. He's going up against teammate Larry Bell, the 2 seed versus the 15th seed. Cody Gibson keeps with the trajectory, keeps with the pace that he's been on lately. He should be good, but you never know. Larry Bell will sneak up on you. Here we go then. The lights are out on the pace car, and we are going to peel these race cars down. This go at the line. Jamie Walker in control in the Home Depot race car, going to hit the loud pedal right there. This time, Chris Carroll on the outside gets a little wheel spin, but everyone gets up to speed. This is going to allow Brad Holmes to try and take over second place, and he will take over second place in the 86 car. Down the back straightaway we go. Chris Carroll pressured on the inside. He does get clear. The battle is now for P4. It's Josh Kanata and Cody Gibson into turn 3, and Brian Zimmerman further back gets sideways in front of the field. Gets it corralled. We're 3 wide down the front straightaway. Fantastic save from Mr. Zimmerman. Down into turn 1 we go. It's going to be a tight squeeze. The 50 gets sideways. The 22 is into the wall. Drivers looking for real estate. Rockingham is not built for 3 wide racing. Caleb West in the 48 hits the wall hard on exit. And more drivers trying to make their way around. The 38 of Norris looking for any way through all of this action, the kerfuffle that is happening right now. Meanwhile, up front, Jamie Walker running away with it. Brad Holmes holding on to second, and Chris Carroll's got Cody Gibson breathing down his neck at the moment, looking to take away position number 3 on track. The 7 car is going to dive it down to the inside. Carroll's not going to fight it. He says, you know what? Go ahead and take it. I'll come back to you later. More than likely, that's the thought process. I've raced Chris Carroll enough myself to know. A little further back, we've got Joseph Klein in the 5 car putting some pressure on Nolan Milnes. Nolan Milnes is up 2 spots from where he started this race. Driver of the 1 machine. Driver who is capable of quite a bit here in the All-American Racing League, but typically luck not favoring him. See Milnes trying to turn everything around in recent weeks. A little further back, we've got last week's winner, Ryan Rose. A little bit of a different story out here today. Ryan Rose did not qualify where he would have wanted to. He's up 3 places from his 13th place qualifying position, just now into the top 10. With that said, last week, Ryan Rose qualified on pole, led every single lap of the race, both stages and the win. Just about as dominant a performance you can get out there in Richmond, but looking to recapture a little bit of that this week here. Up front, not really many battles going on. Most drivers have single-filed their way out, but a little further back, we do have some battles. We've got Zachary Wake in the 39 trying to make his way back up through the field after losing that track position on that spin that brought out the first caution. That's going to resolve itself, and back up with Ryan Rose we go. Ryan Rose and company. That's Tanner Marr on the 4 car on the outside. That white and blue machine, that's going to be Brian Zimmerman, driver who we saw get a little sideways a couple laps ago. At this point in the race, as we work lap 11 now, coming to lap 12, Stage 1 doesn't end until the conclusion of lap 50. We've got a long way to go, and this is a track that eats away at your tires, eats away at your mentality a little bit. It's a very much a rhythm track. You got to take care of your stuff. It's a race of attrition. Got to be careful. And these drivers right now, they're putting themselves in a position where they can find where they're comfortable to ride. They might pick off a spot here or there. If they've got the speed, they might let someone go here or there. If they don't have the speed right now, they're just going to lock in. They're going to try and find the rhythm. They're going to see what their race cars want out of them, how they start to perform after a couple laps of green flag action, how the dirty air affects these race cars as well. Lots of information to take in the early stages of the event. Right now we're watching Brad Holmes in the 86. He fell down to third place because Cody Gibson is a man on a mission, had that subpar start to the race, however, has reclaimed multiple positions and now finds himself in P2, up from where he initially started this race, trying to chase down Jamie Walker in the 20 machine a little further ahead. Speaking of battles on track, Chris Carroll's not going anywhere, and Brad Holmes might have his hands full in just a few moments right here as that red and black Chevy Camaro is putting the pressure on. Down into turn one we go right here. Going to stick the nose on the inside. See if Chris Carroll's able to get this move done down the back straightaway. They're going to pull about even near contact. Got to be very careful as the outside car on the exit of 2. Very easy for that to go south, and Chris Carroll's going to get the position right here, cover it off, and look to aim further ahead. Brad Holmes not going to have anything there. A little further back, we've got more battles forming. Ryan Rose trying to get around Brian Zimmerman. Looks like Tanner Marr has fallen out of the picture a little bit, down to 13th position. And these guys all try to dice it out. This is the back half of the top 10 right here. First car in this line is going to be Joseph Klein in the 5, having a good performance so far this evening. Up a spot, Nolan Milnes just behind. Then you got Zimmerman, Rose, and Crawford all on top of one another, all trying to figure out what they need to get around those in front of them, and near contact between the 22 and the 1, trying to stick the nose in there, can't quite manage to do so that time by. And we'll see the 78 now make a move on the 22. Oh, contact, but the 22 catches it. Ryan Rose has to check up to avoid making that worse. Brian Zimmerman catches that right away. We've seen some great saves and some great driving out of Zimmerman in the past couple of weeks. Going to keep that 22 on the road, and this allows Crawford to get around Rose right here, so this is a pretty big deal. Nick Crawford up another position, or rather back to where he started this race at, but importantly ahead of the 78 of Rose. You want to be ahead of all of those drivers that you know are going to be your biggest threats over the course of a race, and given the week that Ryan Rose had last week, I think the entire league is on notice that they've got to be careful of that 78 car and try not to let him have anything too crazy. It looks like we have issues for Brian Troy, who was that car down on the apron. Let's see if we can't get a look right here. It doesn't look like it was a caution. We're still green. Gonna hit that wall out of 2, down to the inside. We saw the 27 suffer this same incident a week ago in Richmond multiple times. It looks like victim to the turn 2 wall again here in Rockingham. I mentioned it in the pre-race, but it was an incident I expected to see tonight on multiple occasions. Unfortunately, the 27 is going to be the first to fall victim to it. As we currently run on track, Jamie Walker is our race leader. Cody Gibson, Chris Carroll, Brad Holmes. You can see all of the gaps right here. Josh Kanata in P5, and the yellow flag is out. We do have a yellow flag. Why don't we see if we can't take a look at what brought out our yellow flag this time. Maybe issues for Dakota Moniz, potentially. Let's take a look. Yes, indeed. And, ooh, pretty hard contact on the outside wall right there. That is not what you want to see for the 0-5. It looks like that is certainly going to be the cause of the caution. Let's take a look from the blimp. Let's take a look from the blimp up here. We're going to keep this in slow motion. That's Zachary Wake on the inside in the 39. A part of this battle as we head down the back straightaway. The 0-5 clips the outside wall, and that kind of sends him down into Zachary Wick, who is already running right there on the quarter panel, kind of side drafting. That then sends the 2 cars out of control, and at the entry of turn 3, nonetheless, very sketchy spot, Christopher Norris is the luckiest driver on track to make it through that. The 0-5 goes back up on track, gets a hard hit to the front nose. Not what you want to see. That 0-5 is going to have some significant damage to try and get fixed. And significant damage, especially for a driver who is a part of the in-season tournament that we have going on right now. Dakota Moniz, of course, the driver who is going up against Josh Kanata, currently running in 5th place. He'll be feeling a little bit better about that situation. Let's take a look and see if we can't take a look at some of our other matchups. As a matter of fact, we do already have one matchup determined that I can see, and that is that Zachary Wake this week in the 39 was set to go up against Matt Semple, winner in week 2 on the season, but Matt Semple could not be here for tonight's event, which should advance Zachary Wake in the 39 to the next round by default. Already got a little damage on that race car, so he'll be breathing a sigh of relief from that one. And head back up towards the front as we pace around. Joseph Klein, driver of that 5 machine, is seated in the 10th seed, going up against 7th seed Gabriel Goli. And Gabriel Goli is also a name that I want to say I have not seen out here tonight, which would mean that driver 5 is going to also advance into next week. A couple of drivers unable to make it for tournament week. There's actually 3 matchups as well that are like that. Quite a few matchups getting determined. Nolan Milnes can breathe easy. Driver of the 1 car was supposed to go up against Stoney Benfield, who I don't see out here this evening, assuming I am not blind. And I don't think it ends there. I don't see Alex Fuller out here, who was set to go up against Mark Arthur. Anyway, tournament aside, lights are out on the pace car. We've got the 20, we've got the 7 on the front row, and we are going to get this race restarted. None of the race leaders came down for any service this caution. We are halfway through stage 1. Back on the loud pedal we go. Little bit of wheel spin throughout the field, and we're going to have maybe some 3-wide action down into turn 1. It looks like everyone is going to make it through safe and sound. On exit, might be a different story right here. Cody Gibson struggling right here. Driver who was looking to challenge Jamie Walker a little earlier. He now finds himself in P5, maybe 6. If Klein can get there and up front, we might have a battle for the race lead for the first time tonight. Chris Carroll looking to pounce on the 20 car of Jamie Walker at this point. Exiting turn 2 and making our way down the back straightaway. Does the 51 have a good enough run to make the move? Not yet. Jamie Walker is going to cut off the front nose of that 51, try not to give him any clean air to work with whatsoever. And further back, we got more situations to monitor. Kanata reeling in the race leaders. We've got Crawford breathing down the neck of Cody Gibson as we run down into turn 1. Going to take that inside line right here and try and pick off another position. As up front, Chris Carroll looks to the inside of Jamie Walker. Now goes for it. That car gets a little loose, but Walker's going to keep it planted on the outside, wants to control this race. He can't keep it there, and Carroll now to the race lead in the 51 machine, just in time for Josh Kanata to peek his nose into the picture. See what driver 16 can do. He's up 2 positions from where he started this race, and he is bringing along Nolan Milnes in the 1 car, who is up 4 positions from where he started. Milnes looking to start a little streak of momentum after finally getting on the podium last week out. It looks like Chris Carroll is riding pretty smooth at the moment, and Jamie Walker might be in trouble of losing second place here. If Josh Kanata can keep this pressure on, he's gonna have his work cut out for him. Passing Jamie Walker, not the easiest task out there. Chris Carroll got it done, though, and shows that it is possible. He's going to go out there and lead here in the second half of stage number 1. Closest battle on track at the moment. We're side by side down the front straightaway. Tanner Marr to the inside. Joshua O'Brien on the outside in that deep charcoal and orange machine looking good on track. Just barely going to touch the wall right there. No biggie. Going to bring Matthew Pavlik in the 30 down to the inside. Looks for it. Can't quite find the move right there. He's got a defender from Christopher Norris on the outside as well, does Pavlik. Now we got people out here supporting driver number 30, currently running in P15, battling in the thick of the Hornet's Nest. Looks like the battles up front have sort of started to chill out just a little bit. This is our closest battle on track at the moment as Trevor Harmon tries to work to the inside of Pavlik. He's going to get that position away into turn 3. And driver 30 is going to settle back in line to find that rhythm. A little further up, a couple drivers starting to accordion effect just a little bit. As Kanata bounces off of the wall right there in P3, we can see Nolan Milnes kind of leading this line of racers right here. We got Milnes, we've got Klein, we've got Crawford, and we've got Gibson. These 4 cars kind of on this island right here. Maybe 3 as Gibson starts to fade away just a little bit. Perhaps used up a little too much of his stuff early on to regain those positions. Whatever the case, these 3 drivers right here, Milnes, Klein, Crawford, they are all up multiple positions from where they started this race. You'll hear it a lot in oval racing and racing in general. You'll hear the term comers and goers, and I think we're seeing that a little bit right here. A driver like Brad Holmes, who's fallen down to P10, a driver like Cody Gibson, who's fallen down to P7. We consider these guys, at least for this stage, the goers, and that's nothing against either of these drivers. They just haven't managed their stuff as well as some of these other guys. They have the speed on the short run, and now in the long run, they're falling back. They're going away. These guys, they're the comers. The 1, the 5, and the 74, they have taken care of their stuff. They're moving up positions consistently throughout the run. They might not have been the fastest right away, but they are making it count now. If you ever hear comers and goers, those of you guys watching at home, that's what it stands for. That's what it means. Chris Carroll, he is one such driver who's made his way up 1 position, but don't forget at the very start of the race, Carroll gave up a couple before he then turned on the afterburners and decided to use those tires to his advantage. Not new tires, but those well taken care of tires to put that 51 car back up in, not back up, but up to the lead for the first time. Walker falls down 1 position. Kanata in all of this very quietly in 3rd place, having a phenomenal run. And we do have a battle further back. Crawford is going to get around Joseph Klein in the 5. Move Nick Crawford up to P5 now. He's up 4 positions from where he started this race. Crawford continually making inroads. A driver who's got a big task ahead of him with tonight's event. Nick Crawford is going up against Jamie Walker in the 20, who runs in P2. That's going to be the heavyweight matchup of the evening, in my opinion. Across the line this time, we're going to be working lap 39 out of 50 here in stage number 1. Plenty of points to be awarded to the top 10 who finish the stage within the top 10. A couple of those positions still up for grabs at the moment. And I tell you what, why don't we take a couple of laps, a lap or 2 at the very least, around on board Nick Crawford, driver out of Las Vegas. Driver still looking, I do believe, let me fact check myself here before I say something that isn't true. Driver still looking for his first win here in the All-American Racing League. Driver who is certainly capable of such a feat. It's currently, out of drivers who have not won a race, sitting 2nd in points. But given their 7 different winners, that actually makes him 9th. It's complicated. When you get a lot of different winners, it complicates the situation just a little bit right here. And a little further up, we do have a battle on track right now. It's Josh Kanata, who's gotten to the inside of Jamie Walker in the 20. He's going to floor it coming out of turn 4, slides right up in front of Walker and gets the pass done. Walker going to look for the crossover now on entry into turn 1. That 20 car does not want to give up more position on track right here, but he's not going to have a choice because Josh Kanata is going to leave Walker in the dust right here, move the 16 up to P2 as we work the final 10 laps of stage number 1. And don't look now, but here comes the rest of the field. Jamie Walker is going to have more defending to do at the rate that we're going. That 1 car of Nolan Milnes closing in, bringing Nick Crawford along with. And Cody Gibson seems to be resurging just a little bit. He's not fallen off of the back of the 5 car. If anything, he has caught back up and continues to follow this line of drivers, pretty much 2nd through 7th on track right now, all in one big line. The bulk of the stage points still up for grabs as Josh Kanata continues to drive away now from Jamie Walker. You can get a good view right here from the gearbox of the 16 car looking back at Jamie Walker and company. Got a long way to go to get to Chris Carroll, however, who's got a 1.5 second lead over the rest of the field. Kanata's going to be hoping to hold on to second here for stage number 1. And Nolan Milnes has caught the back of Jamie Walker. Can he set up this pass and make it happen? He's going to take a big diamond off of turn 2 right there. That was a perfect diamond to get the momentum down the back straightaway. Peeks that nose to the inside. Walker's going to have to shuffle up the track. That allows the 1 to ride that white line. He can't clear off of turn 4, however. And across the line, Milnes has it. But down into turn 1, this is where it's going to be a little tricky because exit of 2 is really tight. Walker's going to have to slide back down in line. He can't quite make the crossover happen. Nolan Milnes is going to get that position and move on up to P3 on the run as Walker now settles back into P4, driver who qualified on pole and led much of the first stage. We look a little further back and we see Joseph Klein now looking to retake a position from Nick Crawford, who got around him a couple laps previous. That 5 car is going to work the inside and try and muscle his way. He does muscle his way, and Crawford's into the wall, gets into Gibson. They get it sorted. Cody Gibson and Nick Crawford nearly wrecking down the back straightaway. Both of these drivers get it sorted. Crawford does have some rear end damage on the left rear of that race car. We'll have to see if he elects to get that fixed on pit road or not. But move Joseph Klein up into P5 once more as we sit at 3 laps remaining here in stage 1. Currently watching Nolan Milnes, driver in P3, circulating the track, trying to run away from Jamie Walker and secure some stage points. Popsicle sticks in the air for stage number 2, and stage 1, excuse me. Jamie Walker's not going anywhere. And oh, by the way, Chris Carroll has suddenly and swiftly been caught by Josh Kanata in second place. Could this be issues for the 51 of Carroll to the white flag in stage 1? To the outside goes Kanata in the 16. Carroll trying to take the quickest way around on the inside. Can Kanata set up this pass down the back straightaway? He's going to get to the inside. Josh Kanata is going to take over the race lead into turn 3 for the final time in stage number 1. How did Chris Carroll lose such a significant lead in the closing couple of laps? I'm not certain, but Josh Kanata is going to make the pass stick and take over the race lead in time to win stage 1 here in Rockingham, ahead of Chris Carroll in second place, Nolan Milnes in third, Jamie Walker in fourth, Joseph Klein, Nick Crawford, Cody Gibson through 7th place, Brian Zimmerman, Ryan Rose, and Christopher Norris round out the top 10 at the conclusion of stage 1. Pace car is going to gather the field up here on the back straightaway. We're going to get ready to see the entire field come down for their first service of the evening. I think one of the only bracket matchups we have not covered yet, Ryan Rose, last week's winner in the 78, is currently facing Matthew Pavlik. That's the 1 and 16 matchup at the moment. Matthew Pavlik currently runs in P18 to Ryan Rose's P9. All of these drivers now on pit road. Try to get a better camera right here. Making their way down the long stretch. We do get a curved pit road here in Rockingham. It can cause a little bit of an interesting pit in, pit out situation. Jamie Walker, of course, going to have that first pit stall from qualifying on pole position, and we'll see the race off of pit road right here. We'll see if that 20 can jump back up in front of the rest, though he did fall a handful of positions at the end right here. Chris Carroll maybe beats Kanata. I think he did off of pit road right there. Milnes ahead of Walker, and here come the rest, all finding their way off of the pit lane. And with that, returning to the front, Chris Carroll, by the narrowest of margins, is going to win the race off of pit road, drop Josh Kanata back to P2, as it was with 1 lap to go in stage 1. Invert for the points and flip them right back. Nolan Milnes in 3rd, up 5 positions from where he started this race, and I can already hear a race car shutting off across the start-finish line. We do have a slightly longer stage 2. We have to race to the conclusion of lap 110. That is going to be slightly longer than what we raced in stage 1. Something for these drivers to keep in mind. They could be right around that fuel window. We'll have to monitor the situation as it develops. On the front row, Chris Carroll, our race leader, in that red and black 51. He's going to choose the inside line for said restart. That puts Josh Kanata on the outside. Row 2, Nolan Milnes, Jamie Walker. Row 3, Joseph Klein, Cody Gibson. All said and done, lights are out on that pace car, and we're going to get ready to go racing yet again here in stage number 2 for the first time tonight. Field in the hands of the 51 on the inside, and don't forget that wheel spin has been a doozy for these race car drivers so far tonight. Into the restart zone we go. There's a bit of a stack up on the outside line. Josh Kanata cannot get going, and that opens the door for Nolan Milnes to take the spot into turn 1. Kanata fights back on the outside. Can he keep it pinned there? He can, but no, he loses it finally, and there's issues further back. Larry Bell involved, Rob Higgs involved. Number of drivers just stopping or waiting to slowly get through, and we are under caution yet again. Larry Bell getting a significant chunk of the damage. Let's go ahead and queue up a replay, and let's see if we can't see what happened. A little bit of 3-wide action. Higgs on the outside, Bell on the inside, and that's Matt Pavlik in the middle. We're going to keep it slowed down right here as off of turn 2, the 80 looks to try and take the arc for the corner exit, but there is a car low. Matthew Pavlik didn't do anything wrong in that situation, if you ask me. Carlo clips himself. That is unfortunately going to right hook Larry Bell into the outside wall. Larry Bell and being involved in incidents he didn't cause is a long-running story that I think we'd all rather not visit at the moment, but unfortunate circumstance right here. We'll take another look, and this time we'll take a look from directly above at race speed. Nick Crawford barely scoots through that, by the way. Nick Crawford must have had a speeding penalty on pit road, or no, perhaps it was getting the damage fixed. As a matter of fact, I correct myself. Crawford being at the back of the field, most likely getting damage fixed. He's back on pit road again this time as well, so trying to correct the situation from stage 1 is the 74. Back up front, however, we have the 51 of Carroll in control. Nolan Milnes finds himself in P2 now with a perfect restart right there. The outside lane didn't go. He was next on the inside. He's going to jump up that spot, and as a matter of fact, Joseph Klein is going to inherit a position because Josh Kanata has... Where has Josh Kanata gone? All the way back to P12. Josh Kanata has come down to top off on fuel. Interesting situation. Let me lay it out for you folks at home. The top 11 drivers, race leader through Tanner Marr in P11, last pit on lap 52. A number of drivers just came down to top off their fuel to make it to the end of stage 2 without another pit stop. Josh Kanata is the first of those drivers. Samuel Garcia, Brad Holmes, Caleb West, Mark Arthur, also drivers who came down and at least topped off on fuel. Zachary Wake, Rob Higgs, Nick Crawford. Matt Pavlik, William Bruton, Antonio Bannister, Jackson West, all drivers who have come down during this pit sequence. Excuse me, not Antonio Bannister, but the rest of the names. Topping off on fuel to make it to the end of stage 2. If we go green from here, the drivers who did not just come down have to save extra fuel or cannot make it entirely. That's what Kanata and others will be banking on. And it's time to find out. We're going to restart this race coming to lap 58.58 out of 110. Chris Carroll on the inside. Yet again, the control car. Into the restart zone we go. Keep an eye on that outside lane. Keep an eye for wheel spin. As we hit the loud pedal right here, neither line can really get going. Chris Carroll with a good jump, and Nolan Milnes should hold on to P2 here. He's going to have company on the inside. That 5 car can't quite stick the nose in there, and Milnes is good to go forth and challenge the race leader, but we are 2 by 2 by 2, just further back, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and the rest of the top 10, all battling it out. We got a couple new names poking their nose into the conversation. I see Christopher Norris on the outside in that deep blue Ford Mustang. I see Ryan Rose on the inside, last week's winner, trying to get himself in the conversation right here as it all works itself out. Klein in 3rd, Walker in 4th. They are clear. Gibson in 5th. He is clear. And now the battle between the 38 and the 22. Down into turn 3 we go. Zimmerman on the inside, Norris on the outside. And oh, a big stack up. Norris, amazing reactions not to run over the back of the one of Gibson right there in turn 4. Looks like Gibson had to check up big time. This is actually going to put us in a situation where Walker now sits in P3 with Klein in 4th, Zimmerman, and now Gibson has to battle it out with Rose. Cody Gibson keeps finding himself in positions where he's losing a couple positions and has to claw them back just to lose them all over again. Let's not forget the fuel situation these drivers are faced with. A lot of them are going to be monitoring their fuel. A lot of them are going to be monitoring their tires. We saw a number of drivers elect to run easy on the first half of stage 1, save their tires and come back later. And we've got the entire field bunched up here towards the front. Chris Carroll backing up the entire field at the moment, just trying to ride his race, take care of his tires, maybe save some fuel. And the rest of these guys at the moment are going to let him, unless we can see a Jamie Walker or somebody else get up there and decide that they want to take the lead for themselves, should a caution come out. But you don't usually see the field run this close together unless there is some tire or fuel saving going on, maybe a little bit of both. Ryan Rose up to P4 now, looking to close in on this track position. Joseph Klein in the 5 all over the rear bumper of Jamie Walker in the 20 car. Rose to the inside of the 5. He looks like he wants to go places. Not so keen on saving as much fuel. He's going to try and work over Klein in the 5 car. Down the back straightaway we go. Norris going to peek to the inside of Zimmerman on corner entry. He's going to try and slide in there. Can't get it. Zimmerman will fight back on the outside, and he's going to be able to hold off the 38 for one more corner. Ryan Rose up to P3 and charging as the 38 of Norris continues to work over the 22 of Zimmerman a little bit further back. Seeing a couple other names enter the fray. We got Tanner Marr right here in P9. We got Mark Arthur back here in P11 trying to work up through the field, as well is driver number 12. And back up front, Chris Carroll has not gone anywhere. Jamie Walker hot on his tail. And this might be a little bit of an inverse from what we saw in stage 1. Jamie Walker led the first half and Carroll led the second half. Perhaps Jamie Walker sizing up the 51 car to see what he can do here in stage 2 that might be any different. Take a look from the gearbox of our race leader, Chris Carroll in the 51. You can see the line of race cars just behind him. If we dive down into turn 1 right here, this is a great view of what's going on in his mirror. He can see every last one of these drivers all in one big line, almost as if they were pacing at race speed. And you can hear the 51 shut off on corner entry into turn 3 right there. Throw the clutch in, maybe even turn off the ignition. Saving some fuel big time is the 51 car. Does not elect to throw the clutch in for turn 1 right there. Gonna use the engine braking a little bit to help get woed up. And down the back straightaway we go yet again. Into turn 3. Gonna cut the engine off. Another time is race leader Chris Carroll. A little further back, Klein on the rear bumper of the 78 of Rose at this point. Not sure if he wants to make that move yet. We've also got Trevor Harmon in the 029. That's a new name up towards the front that's starting to make some moves. Trevor Harmon said, I don't know about you guys, but I want to go get this track position. Screw the fuel situation. I'm going to see what I can do. So that 029's moving on up in the field. He's up 17 positions from where he started this race. Trevor Harmon, our biggest mover, up to this point in the action. First driver who had come down and topped off on fuel that last caution is Mark Arthur, currently running in P10. Now that's interesting because as they restarted, that first driver who had come down to top off was Josh Kanata. He's still in P15. Nick Crawford, Brad Holmes, they've passed him up as well, drivers who have topped off on fuel. Just behind Mark Arthur here as we run. Up towards the front of the race, lots of nose-to-tail action, lots of engines being cut off. Every single one of these drivers are saving fuel for the most part, trying to stretch it to the end of stage 2 right here, and that may increase our chance for an incident. It may also decrease it depending on how these drivers can manage to save fuel and not get into each other with altered braking zones. Down the inside goes Joseph Klein. He says, you know what, I'm going to try and take third place from you, Ryan Rose. To the inside, they're going to get about even on exit. Ooh, a little contact. No harm, no foul. They keep it going. Klein's going to get it on the inside, and Ryan Rose might be subject to losing another one. Norris can't quite get there. He's battling with Zimmerman. That battle has not gone anywhere recently. Those two keep throwing haymakers at one another, but cannot get it to stick. Norris on the inside, Zimmerman fighting well on the outside each time, respectively. Trevor Harmon with a great view of that. They're going to make contact through turn 2. Zimmerman into the outside wall, and Norris gets the spot. Zimmerman might have some right side damage to deal with after that contact right there. At a glance, it doesn't seem to be too bad. We'll see how that 22 handles the rest of the stage here, but move Christopher Norris up into P5. He's up 15 spots from where he started this race. And up towards the front, still waiting to see if Jamie Walker is going to elect to do anything with Chris Carroll right here. Both are shutting their engines off at about the same time. They're running pretty much identical lap times, nose to tail, all the way around the track, saving fuel at an equal pace. They're going to bring Joseph Klein into the picture in the 5 car. As to what his situation looks like, still remains unclear, but is the 5 going to elect to put pressure on these guys? We'll have to wait and see as we jump back here with Brian Zimmerman, driver in 6th place, trying to hold off a hard-charging Cody Gibson. That driver in the 7 car knows he's capable of winning some races here, knows he's good at Rockingham, probably feeling a little frustrated at the moment. Got to play the fuel game, got to play the tire game, not running in as high a position as he would like to. That is for certain. Update on the drivers who topped off on fuel under that most recent yellow. Currently leading the charge, it's going to be Brad Holmes in the 86 Andy's Frozen Custard Ford Mustang. That is our first driver who topped off on fuel, has about 4 laps additional, ahead of Nick Crawford, Josh Kanata, Mark Arthur, Nolan Milnes. All drivers, excuse me, not Nolan Milnes, but those 3 are drivers who topped off on that caution. Nolan Milnes is down in P14 after running up with the race leaders for a significant chunk right there. He also last pit on lap 52, so he is in a bad fuel-saving mode right now. Probably gave up all of these positions just to focus on saving fuel in the 1 car. Whereas these guys up front, they're trying to keep the track position and save enough at the same time. It's a tricky balance to find, but when you nail it, you can't do much better than that. And it looks like Jamie Walker might finally be fancying a shot at the race lead. He's going to send it to the inside. Driver 20 looking to take over once again, and Carroll's not going to fight him too bad. Jamie Walker up to P1. This does bring Ryan Rose into the picture. We've now got a 4-car battle for the race lead as Carroll tucks back in behind the Home Depot machine and looks to ride. We're going to be working lap 80 across the line halfway through stage 2. We need to go another 30 or so laps on fuel. These drivers all know it. They all know that they need to save a little bit. They need to monitor their situation. They need to make sure that they don't have to come down under green flag conditions, if you have to make that green flag pit stop, even if it's for just a splash of fuel and you're in the box for 5 seconds or less, you are still going to lose likely 2 laps at a track like Rockingham. No less than 1 lap, maybe even 2 laps, depending on your track position before you come down onto pit road. And knowing that we're going to get a caution at the end of the stage regardless means you certainly don't want to be caught 1 to 2 laps down by the time that comes out. Very likely a race ruiner for anyone hoping to contend. Down into turn 1 we go, lap 82, this time by Jamie Walker leads ahead of Chris Carroll, Ryan Rose, Joseph Klein. Running out the top 5, Christopher Norris in that 38 car, who's moved up 15 spots from where he started this race, having a pretty good go of it. Further back, Nolan Mills going to be trying to make his way forward past Brad Holmes in this case, and chasing down some familiar faces ahead in Nick Crawford and Josh Kanata. Deathly curious to see who manages to play the fuel game the best out of the field here. It's one of the closest battles on track. A little further up, Tanner Marr gonna fancy a shot at Trevor Harmon. He's gonna try and bring Josh Kanata with him. Marr slides up the track. We're nearly 3 wide for a moment. Kanata thinks of it, but doesn't stick the nose in there quite yet. They're gonna bring all 3 of them around, and in that sequence, Trevor Harmon's gonna lose 3 spots. Down into turn 1 we go. Tanner Marr all the way up against the wall. That opens the door for Kanata, stage 1 winner. He's gonna make it through. Kanata leading the charge on drivers who have 4 laps additional fuel. He's now up to P8 and trying to chase down the rest of the leaders. He's going to bring Crawford with him in the 74, another driver who's got that additional fuel and more than likely got that damage fixed on the left rear bumper. He does indeed have that damage fixed. So that's going to be big news for Crawford as we get near contact between the 029 and the 1. They do make it through, and Trevor Harmon continues to drop now, facing pressure on the outside from Mark Arthur. Bring Brad Holmes into the conversation next, and he'll be looking for another pass. Up front, Jamie Walker continues to lead, not having a ton of pressure thrown his way, but he has not run away up to this point, and we've got a 5-car breakaway. It looks like we had a car who had an issue down the back straightaway. Oh, it's going to come up in front of the race leaders, Jackson West. I think everyone made it through. I was trying to find the right race car right there, but cannot see where he is going. The hood is up on that race car. I'm amazed they didn't throw a yellow for that. But it looks to me like... Did we have an issue right there? I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay. I was looking at the back half of the top 5. I thought I saw that we had lost a name. We did not lose a name. It looks like everyone got through that, but man, that was a sketchy situation. From the 76 right there. Brings it down on pit road. And I'm not seeing anything. I'm not getting anything flagged as to what happened to the 76. So I can't be too certain. Can't find a replay for you guys, unfortunately. But in the meantime, the 38 of Christopher Norris, he's made his way around Joseph Klein. Moved that 38 car up to P4 as he continues to make inroads. A little further back, Zimmerman and Kanata having a battle. Kanata moving up through the field. One additional spot after another. He is better on fuel than everyone ahead of him. So Kanata is going to be looking to try and go win stage 2 as well, having topped off under that earlier yellow. He's going to be working over Cody Gibson, and this will be for 6th place. He'll have it at the line and into turn 1. Gibson will give it to him and not fight that too much. He's got to fight his fuel tank at the moment. As we look a little further ahead and watch Christopher Norris start to set up Ryan Rose in his crosshairs. Going to try and move ahead of that 78 car. Has Norris done a good job at saving fuel? And actually, Ryan Rose is going to peel it down. The 78 car says, I cannot make it. I'm going to get fuel. Trevor Harmon cannot make it and is going to get some fuel. So now we have drivers electing to bite the bullet and take the fuel anyway. We're going to see if this brings any others down, or if they continue to try and stretch the fuel. Doesn't look like it. I think at this point, most drivers are going to be committed. I think you'd have to be in desperate shape to bring it down pit road and lose all of that time. Ryan Rose in the pit stall for 8 seconds, which tells me no tires. That's just enough to get the fuel you need. Ryan Rose is currently 1 lap down out on track and would be the driver to get the free pass as it currently sits if the caution came out right now. A little bit further back in the top 10, we got Crawford getting around Gibson. 74 ahead of the 7. That is for P6 on the track. It looks like Zimmerman might be coming through as well. Cody Gibson's going to have to give up 2 spots in 1 lap as he continues to fall back. And you can see that the fuel saving mode has kicked into overdrive. These drivers are saving very, very early on corner entry, cutting those engines off, coasting on entry, staying out of the high rev range. Matter of fact, we can ride on board. Let's ride on board with Christopher Norris. And listen to that throttle. Driver out of Pittsburgh. Interesting. Christopher Norris on the 38 not shutting it off. See what he does down into turn 3. Norris is not shutting it off. He might have to come down to pit road. We jump 1 car ahead, Chris Carroll. Driver out of BC down into turn 1. Shuts it all the way off. And he keeps that thing off for a significant chunk of time. Down the back straightaway now. About 60% of the way down the back straightaway, cutting out, throwing the clutch in, staying out of the high rev range. That is the best way to save fuel. As he follows race leader Jamie Walker past another lap down driver here. You can hear just how much they've got the engine shut off by throwing the clutch in right there. Losing a lot of lap time doing that, but necessary to save the fuel that you need to save. Now, here's what I'm really interested in. If we jump over to the 16 of Josh Kanata, who we know has 4 laps additional in the fuel tank. I don't hear the clutch being thrown in turn 1. Let's see if he elects to in turn 3. Kanata's issue could be tires more than anything. He's had to work through traffic. And his tires will be the same age as everyone around him. Their clean air lets him take care of their stuff. He's had to fight to get up here, so especially with how much wheel input I'm seeing from the 16 right here, that tells me that he's not slow because of fuel. He can't catch these guys because of tires at the moment. He's going to need them to slow up just a little bit more. We'll keep monitoring that in Kanata's case, trying to chase down Norris in the 38. Up front, Walker continues to manage the pace at the moment. I'm going to take a look at one thing right here. Josh Kanata and Christopher Norris, 3rd and 4th place. They are teammates, as a matter of fact. Did indeed want to clarify that real quick. So those two running 3rd and 4th. They'll be communicating all the way. We got a battle a little further back. Samuel Garcia and Tanner Marr throw Brad Holmes into the conversation as well. A little 3-way battle. As Tanner bounces off the wall just a little bit. They're going to get it sorted out. Battle for 11th and 12th. And here comes Ryan Rose trying to make his way back up through the field right here. Remember, he came down for fuel, so he's not saving fuel right now, but he also did not take tires under that green flag stop. He saved that set of tires, so he is just circulating, hoping that a bunch of drivers have to pit or run out of fuel, and hoping that it does fall his way in the end. As Chris Carroll starts to up the pressure on Jamie Walker, this could be a situation of Carroll saving a little bit more than Walker, getting himself positioned to be aggressive. We've only got 9 laps to go in stage 2 here. So this is just about when we're at go time. When you're saving fuel like this, it can't even really be go time until maybe 2 laps to go. You do need to be saving fuel pretty regularly, though having the race lead is worth a lot even in this circumstance, and Chris Carroll knows it. He's going to go to the inside. How hard is Walker going to fight it on the outside? He's going to drag race down the back straightaway. Who cuts the engine off first? It ain't going to be Carroll, who drives it in deep to take over the race lead, and here comes Kanata closing in on the rear bumper of these two. He's going to hope that they use up each other's fuel just a little too much, and maybe the 16 can slip on past, given he does not have to save fuel. Going to turn this into a three-way battle for the win in stage 2 as there's 7 laps to go. Down into turn 3, I hear engines being shut off. Kanata's able to close into the back of the 20. Can he poke a nose in there? That's all he needs. He gets it. And down the front straightaway, the 16 is going to have an opportunity into turn 1. 6 laps to go in stage number 2. He clears the 20 of Walker. And now Kanata can set his sights on Chris Carroll to try and steal another stage away from the 51, just like he did in stage 1. We're going to ride on board with Josh Kanata here in second place. Best on fuel out of the race leaders. 5 left in stage number 2 as he hunts down Chris Carroll in first place through turns 1 and 2. Going to try and get an arc off of the corner. That's going to give him a little momentum. Had to check off the gas slightly. Going to stalemate down into turn 3 right here. Enter a little bit lower than the 51 of Carroll. Going to keep it pinned a little bit lower than the 51. Get a good run off. Use that slipstream all the way down the front straightaway. Worth a little bit. He's also going to get much deeper on entry. Carroll cannot drive as hard on entry, saving the fuel that he needs to save. And on corner exit here, Kanata has to get out of the gas as Christopher Norris has come down pit road out of the top 5. Our 4th place runner, Christopher Norris, has come down pit road. He could not make it. 4 laps to go. 3 now at the line here in stage number 2. The pit lane closes this time by as the race leader crosses the line, watching from onboard P2. Josh Kanata trying to set up the move, trying to size up Carroll to take away these, or I guess the final stage point right there, the 10th stage point for this stage victory, trying to sweep the stages here in Rockingham. It's going to be 2 to go in stage 2 as Pavlik is on pit road, could not make it. And now we're going to see a big arc from the 16 of Kanata. He's going to swing it all the way down to the inside into turn 3. He's got a nose. He's going to get alongside. Carroll tries to pull the crossover. He can't do it. The field's not going to be good enough. And Kanata, with another late pass, is going to take the lead. White flag in stage number 2 for the 16 as he looks to sweep the stages in Rockingham. Nick Crawford looks to get around the 20 of Walker in the closing corner as well. Down the back straightaway we go. Kanata is gone in first place. We're going to watch the battle for 3rd as Nick Crawford comes off of the banking to race Walker to the line. He's not going to get there in time, and that is going to be our stage result. All of the engines turn off right at the line, and they will coast their way around, waiting for that yellow and subsequent pace car. Josh Kanata is going to sweep the stages in Rockingham. Chris Carroll in P2, Jamie Walker, Nick Crawford, Brian Zimmerman rounds out our top 5. Cody Gibson, Joseph Klein, Mark Arthur through 8th, and rounding out the top 10 in stage 2, Nolan Milnes, Samuel Garcia. That's everyone getting the points payout, and now we wait to catch the pace car, and more importantly, we wait to see who saved enough fuel for the additional pace lap. Who saved themselves enough fuel, and is anyone going to be running out? The 5 car might be out of fuel. Getting some help from the 1 of Nolan Milnes, might be out or very close to out. You see the 38 going around the outside as the 5 gets a push from the 1 car. Is he going to get another push? He is. As our race leaders start to peel down on pit road, the 5 car is going to make it all the way around, getting that additional assistance. Not out of fuel, but low enough to receive that push, as it looks like, jumping through the running order here, I don't see anybody coasting around out of fuel, which means I think everyone has done enough to make it. All right, end of stage 2 pit stops. Cannot make it to the end on fuel from here. We will still need another pit sequence after this one. Zimmerman's going to slide through the box just a little bit. And let's take a look at pit exit. here we go then. This time, Kanata's going to beat Carroll off of pit road. It's going to be Crawford in third, Walker in fourth, Gibson, Zimmerman, Mark Arthur through seventh place. Samuel Garcia, Nolan Mills, Tanner Marr, the top 10 off of pit road. Everyone else slowly cycles their way out. And Josh Kanata, winner of both stages, though not the dominant car tonight, in what has been a very interesting race up to this point. Matter of fact, let's see if we can't see what old Josh Kanata's got to say. And here he is, driver of the 16, who went out there and without dominating the race by any means, you managed to sweep both stages. Josh, just tell me about it.
Yeah, that first stage was just about saving tires. Second stage was about saving fuel. Was able to have just enough at the end. I was actually sputtering to my box there at that pit stop, so we were not safe by much, but hopefully we can run a much smoother third stage here.
Absolutely. Not saved by much is still good enough sometimes. You're going to have the control on this restart. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right, there's our race leader and control car for the restart, Josh Kanata. I didn't expect the pace car to turn the lights out so quick. Otherwise, maybe would have gotten more words out of the 16. But, of course, there is racing to be had, and we're going to have it right here. Josh Kanata to the outside, as it looks like Chris Carroll may have had a speeding penalty on pit exit. Chris Carroll is no longer up towards the front. It's going to be Crawford on the inside in the 74. As we hit the loud pedal once again, Walker blinks out just a bit, but we're good. Zimmerman gets a little bit of wheel spin. Everyone behind reacts accordingly, and that is going to be clean into turn one. Josh Kanata leads the way in the 16 as the first four cars get about single file out. Make it 5, 6, 7 now as Mark Arthur clears ahead of Zimmerman and the rest. And oh, we've got issues further back. We have got issues. Chris Carroll involved in the 51, as well as a number of other drivers. Who was that I saw? Was that Bruton? That was not Bruton. Not Rob Higgs either. I don't know who I'm thinking of. Who else was back there? I know the 30 of Matt Pavlik was involved in that. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. I know the 51 was involved. It looks like it does start a little further up, actually, though. So let's take a look at the 30. Down into turn one, we've got the 80 on the inside of Higgs. And it looks like Higgs loses the rear end. And that causes a little bit of a checkup behind. Ryan Rose has to check up. Brad Holmes gets into his bumper. Rose locks the brakes and gets into the 30. That's what happens right there by the looks of it. The 30, wrong place, wrong time. Chris Carroll, wrong place, wrong time. Going to get squeezed into the outside fence right there on that deal. And that is not going to go well. Let's take one more look, and this time let's watch from on board the 78 of Ryan Rose. I don't actually think there was a lockup. I think Ryan Rose just steered to get clear, did not realize that the 30 car was so close to him on the right side and clipped him in the aftermath. And with that, you can see the lingering damage on the 30 machine. See who else we can see right here. Tried to hop over there, did not work. Back up front, see what we got. Looks like Chris Carroll may have pulled that machine behind the wall due to the damage suffered on that incident. 51 car not going to complete this race. As far as I can tell, I'll keep you updated on if that changes. Field's going to double up in the hands of Josh Kanata in the 16. That Supra is in control on the outside. Crawford on the inside in the 74 machine. Update you on the race winners this season situation. The 16 of Kanata scored his win in Charlotte. The 74 of Crawford still looking for his first career win here in the All-American Racing League. Row 2, Gibson has won earlier this race in Dover. Walker has not won. Got a couple of previous winners and a couple of drivers looking for their first as we get ready to go racing again. And oh, by the way, the front row are a couple of teammates in Josh Kanata, Nick Crawford, but so are Jamie Walker and Cody Gibson on row 2. Teammate battle going on. One team on the front row, one team on row 2 as the pace car gets ready to pull off onto pit lane. Control car is on the outside. The white front bumper of Josh Kanata is going to hit the loud pedal, and away we go. Zimmerman with another little bit of wheel spin on the start, but everyone makes it through. Down into turn 1 we go, and it's going to be Kanata, Crawford, Walker, Gibson down the back straightaway. They're going to get single filed out, and the battle is on a little further back. That's Samuel Garcia to the inside of Tanner Marr. Down into turn 3, battle for P7 on track, and Marr is going to fight it on the outside. A little further up, here comes Jamie Walker. It's no longer fuel saving time, and Jamie Walker wants a piece of that race lead action. He led early on. He led a lot in stage 2. Jamie Walker wants to get that first win, and he wants it bad. Now with Chris Carroll out of the picture, the door might be wide open for driver number 20, but he is facing a familiar sight because it was Josh Kanata in the 16 who kept him from victory in Charlotte. That 16 had to defend for his life, and he did to hold on to that win. Kanata knows how to be defensive, how to hold on to a race lead, and Tanner Marr gets sideways off of turn 2 right there. Does get it corralled. Great save from driver number 4 as he might lose the spot to Christopher Norris as well, making his way back up through the field, having to pit under green in stage 2. Back to the race lead. Kanata holds strong, now faced by the teammate combination of Walker and Gibson. Both nose to tail, both breathing down the 16's neck. Down into turn 3, what will they elect to do? How hard is Kanata going to fight to keep the race lead right here? It is valuable, but you don't want to burn up your stuff doing it. If you can manage to hold on to the race lead running just as fast as you need to run, that would be the ideal way to do it. But you've got 2 very hungry drivers on your rear bumper, not to mention Jamie Walker in that bright orange Home Depot machine, still looking for his first win, and that makes you just a little hungrier. Speaking from experience, off of turn 4, we're going to be nose to tail just about 4 drivers, as for the first time in the top 5 tonight, Mark Arthur starts to peek his nose into the conversation in that pink and white Barbie machine. Mark Arthur up 18 spots from where he started this race, a driver with a win on the season already. Back in Phoenix, looking to score his second if he can. At the line, it's going to be lap 125. 76 laps to go in tonight's event. One more pit stop still needed. One minimum to make it on fuel. These drivers are racing to their number, assuming we go green. Fuel saving not in the picture. And Josh Kanata doing his best to hold on right here as we got a battle a little further back. That's Christopher Norris in the 38. He's going to move around the 50 of Garcia and move himself up to P7. Remember, Norris was a top 5 driver earlier in the race before having to make that green flag pit stop. As we watch Nolan Milnes now work himself back into the top 10. Going to bring Joseph Klein along with him. Klein was a top 5 race car earlier on in this race as well. Looking to make his way back up towards the front of the action. And oh, look at this. I look away for 2 seconds, and Jamie Walker has taken the race lead away from Josh Kanata, who's going to settle back in line right here, and the door might even open for Cody Gibson to get there. Now, we'll see how this plays on the long run and who's managing their tires and who isn't. But let's take a look at the pass for the race lead since we missed it just a minute ago. Walker's going to get to the inside of Kanata in turns 1 and 2. Near contact, he has to check up a little, but Kanata has to check up on exit. That allows the 20 to get the run down the back straightaway. And having that nose ahead on entry on the bottom line, that is enough to make it happen. That is how Jamie Walker took the race lead. And now we go back to live scenes to see Josh Kanata looking for the race lead back on the 20 of Walker. Off of turn 4, he's going to have the side draft. Walker just keeps it out of the wall. Dead even at the line, and down into turn 1. Who's going to make it stick? Walker on the high side might be at a slight disadvantage right here. Turn 2's nasty. He is able to keep it pinned, and Walker is maybe going to lose it here unless he could drive in deep enough. Kanata tried to make it happen with the nose, but Walker is fighting for everything he's worth, he's going to keep that 20 machine pinned to the outside of Kanata. How much is he willing to use up his tires? Not that much, as he gives it up down into turn 1, and now he's got to contend with teammate Cody Gibson on the inside, looking to peek a nose in there. He does settle back in line as Josh Kanata moves back up into first place to lead the race once more, winner of both stages. But we haven't seen this kind of speed out of Josh so far tonight. That 16 car was not a lap-leading dominant race car in either of the first 2 stages, but he played the strategies perfectly, first on tires and then on fuel. He certainly knows what he's doing tonight, and right now he's showing that he has the speed when he needs it to contend with these guys up at the front. And it looks a lot like he is running at exactly the pace he needs to run to be in first, but keep everyone right behind him. Sure, you can take the lead and go run and hide a couple seconds up the road, but you might use your tires in doing so, and that advantage will collapse quickly if you're not careful. Whether you win by an inch or a mile, or so goes the saying, Cody Gibson looks like he's pretty hungry. He's all over the back bumper of teammate Jamie Walker. He's going to be giving him the hurry up and maybe even looking to take second place if he fancies a shot, if he can get a nose in there. He's not going to pressure a teammate as hard as he might pressure somebody else, but if the opportunity presented itself, I'm sure driver 7 would love to have a go at the race lead. All the while, 4th and 5th place, they're kind of on a little Saturday evening cruise right now. Nick Crawford, Mark Arthur, they're just watching the show happen right in front of them, just kind of waiting for someone to slip up, waiting for there to be contact, waiting for the opportunity that may present itself. Even can include Brian Zimmerman in that, running back here in P6, quietly having a very solid night. Back up front, Walker's going to have the run off of turn 4. He is not going to have the nose ahead into 1, but will he try and make it stick? He will. How hard does Kanata fight it? He does not. Kanata thinks better of it, wants to save his tires a little bit. He'll tuck back into line right in P2 as we enter turn 3 now. Jamie Walker back to the race lead once more. Driver who I want to say has led the most laps so far tonight in the 20 car, though we've had a number of lap leaders who have led a decent amount at this point. So don't quote me on that one. But Jamie Walker back in control. And now we'll see Josh Kanata trying to hold on to P2 right here. He might be willing to give up P1 and try to save his tires. I don't know if he's going to fancy giving up another position to Cody Gibson right here. I think he might be in a boat where he'll be okay with 1 driver to go chase back down, but 2 and you're starting to get buried in traffic just a little bit. We'll see if Gibson can get that nose in there and have a shot, get a little bit of side draft at any point right here, or if Kanata will fend him off. And let's not forget about Crawford or Mark Arthur just behind this situation. Those 2 drivers aren't racing other drivers very hard at the moment. They're running their race. They're in their rhythm, ideally taking care of their tires at their own pace, and those are 2 drivers who I wouldn't be surprised to see come mix it up before too long, the 74 and the 12, given the situation that they find themselves in at the moment. As these race leaders continue to circulate, we can take a look a little further back at the battle for P9 as Joseph Klein is all over the rear bumper of Nolan Milnes in the 1 car. These 2 doing battle in the back half of the top 10 as we run. And let me fact check something. Yes, indeed, these 2 are teammates, the 5 and the 1 car. So they will be communicating together in 9th and 10th as they race in the back half of the top 10, circulating through turns 3 and 4 at this point. A reminder that everybody still has to make 1 final pit stop on fuel to make it to the end. We're just now hitting 61 laps to go. Stage 2 was a total of 60 laps, and it required quite a bit of fuel saving. I would venture to say that the fuel window will open with about 50 laps to go. Whether or not we see drivers come down that early remains to be seen. But give it about 10 more laps before we start to think about green flag pit stops coming from anybody. And certainly of the race leaders, you would think there might be 1 or 2 who might fancy an undercut, might fancy a short pit to make up some track position here and get out of this kerfuffle. Speaking of kerfuffle, here comes Kanata to the inside yet again. Gonna fancy a move on Jamie Walker. These two have been trading the race lead over and over and over again here in stage 3, and yet again Kanata's going to take it down into turn 1. This time Walker doesn't fight it too bad on the outside. He'll tuck back into line and wait for his opportunity to set up the pass once more. These drivers making it look easy, but it's all about picking and choosing your battles, picking and choosing your fights. I think they've both realized at this point that they're pretty equal on pace, and you don't need to fight the driver side by side multiple laps in a row. You can tuck back in line and you'll find another opportunity to stick your nose on the inside and make it happen. And that's a smarter way to get the pass done if you know you can do it. Seems to be the case, but this time Josh Kanata is going to open up a couple of car links ahead of Jamie Walker and the rest. As we start to approach lap traffic, we've got 3 lap down cars just ahead, starting with Bruton. We've got Higgs in there, and I believe that's Pavlik in the 30 car, who's going to be up against the wall right here. The race leaders try to make their way around these slower circulating vehicles. The 30 is going to bounce off the wall. Big scare for Jamie Walker and Cody Gibson, but they do make it through safe and sound. And this is going to start to stretch out the race leaders just a little bit from one another. Kanata is going to be thinking now as we approach the fuel window that he wants to get as much of a gap as he can. Now is when you want to run and hide. The bigger the gap by green flag pit stop time, the better your advantage will be as the race leader. You don't want to let yourself get undercut. If a driver comes down a lap before you do, you don't want them to be close enough to take advantage of that if you can help it. But given what we've seen so far on pace, I don't know how far ahead Kanata is going to be able to get before pit stops right here. Walker and Gibson have been pretty even on pace. These 3 seem to be duking it out, and it might just be a battle of track position or setting up the pass at the right time as we continue to circulate in the order that we have had for the last numerous times by. At the line this time, it's going to be 54 laps to go in tonight's event. 54 laps to go, approaching the fuel window. We are now starting to get in the fringes of can make it to the end on fuel with a pit stop. Drivers are going to try and run as far as they can, more than likely, in the event of a caution and to give themselves enough fuel to the end. But it's something to start thinking about as Nick Crawford bounces off of the turn 4 wall. That's going to bring Mark Arthur into the conversation for P4. How hard is Crawford going to fight on the outside? He's going to fight hard enough to keep the 12 car behind him and try to settle back into a rhythm right here, but certainly don't want any more bouncing off of the wall like that last time by for the 74. Gets off of turn 4 much cleaner this time by. As we watch Cody Gibson starting to get out of line a little bit, starting to search around the racetrack. Does Cody Gibson think he's got something for Jamie Walker here? Maybe looking to set up a move for second place on the track. These two are teammates. As a reminder, they do have Kanata to go chase down in the race lead, but Gibson might fancy a move here, especially if he thinks he's got a little more pace in that 7 car. These guys are being slowed up a little bit by the 80 of Rob Higgs. Now, here's the deal. Rob Higgs in the 80 car is the last car on the lead lap. He has every right to fight to stay on the lead lap, and he is going to do everything he can to not pull over for the race leaders right here. He's going to make it as hard as he can for them to get around him so that he does not go a lap down. And so long as he's not wrecking anybody or doing any dirty driving, of course, any lap down driver is always in a spot where they are allowed to fight for their lap. And Kanata's going to have to go the hard way around as Gibson to the outside of Jamie Walker, because Jamie Walker is going to be the first of the race leaders to bite. And he comes down with 49 laps to go in the final stint. And that is going to be a long way to go on that set of tires. Gibson's going to bounce it off of the wall out of 2. Now, what does Kanata do here? Does Kanata allow himself to be undercut? Or does he come down to try and battle it? He's going to stay out. That is going to effectively put Jamie Walker ahead of the 16 at the end of the sequence. But the 16 is going to have better tires. Here comes Cody Gibson this time by. So he is going to be 1 lap delayed from Jamie Walker's strategy, both coming down very early, fancying a little bit of an undercut on the 16 of Kanata, who is right now being held up by the lap down car of Rob Higgs in the 80s. So that is not going to be helping the 16. He's going to stay out again and try and pad the advantage on tires that he is going to have during the final stint right here. This is how it works for those of you guys at home. The earlier you come down, the more time you'll gain on the front half. The 7 and the 20 will exit the pit sequence ahead of the 16 on track because the 16 stayed out on older tires for longer. The trade-off is that as we approach the end of the race, the 16's tires are going to be better for the entirety of that final run. By how many laps, we're finding out right now. He will start a number of seconds behind those two and have a tire advantage the rest of the way. Can he make up that gap and make those passes before it's over? That's the task that Kanata's going to have in the 16. And he is still not going to bring it down pit road. We are working a pretty significant tire discrepancy at this point, as most of the top 10 have yet to come down pit road. Zimmerman does come down at this point finally, but we still have a number of drivers out on track. Tanner Marr comes down this time by. The top 8 still have not come down pit road. The top 10 have not come down pit road for their final stop. Josh Kanata continues to circulate. If a caution were to come out, that would severely hinder the strategies of Cody Gibson, Jamie Walker, and the others who have already come down pit road. Drivers who are still out on track: Josh Kanata, Mark Arthur, Nick Crawford, Christopher Norris, Samuel Garcia, and others, hoping for a yellow because that would play right into their hands, and they're going to continue to stretch the fuel until they feel obliged to come down on pit road. Now, the trade-off with going for a caution is that if you wait as long as you can and only come down when the fuel runs out, but you don't get a caution, you're not giving yourself enough time on the back end of this run to make use of your tire advantage over the others. You gotta give yourself enough time to use your tires and go catch the others who you let jump ahead of you. It's all a balancing game. Lots of strategy to consider. Lots of things that these drivers or their crew chiefs that they have helping them will be thinking about. As it runs, Cody Gibson, Jamie Walker, they were battling for the lead before the sequence. They are 1 lap down, circulating on track because they made their final pit stop for the day. And all of the top 10 at this point, minus the 74 of Nick Crawford, who gets onto pit road hot. Does he avoid the penalty? He does. Was there contact with the inside wall? I'm not sure, but Nick Crawford, very sketchy pit road entry right there. I'm not showing a black flag for the 74. Does get it woed up in time, and that is a moment that he is glad didn't go any worse than it did. We can see a number of drivers who already pit now circulating around the 16 car, getting their laps back, making up a lot of time on track with those brand new tires they have. Christopher Norris is coming down pit road this time by in the 38 machine as well. Couple more drivers making their final pit stop. 40 laps to go. When does Josh Kanata elect to come down for his final pit stop? And will there be a yellow? Samuel Garcia comes down out of the top 5 in the 50 machine this time by. Keeping our eyes on race leader Josh Kanata in the 16 through turns 3 and 4. 39 laps to go in stage 2. And he continues to stay out on track. Another go as we watch Nolan Milnes is going to peel it down out of 3rd place. He's going to bring teammate Joseph Klein in the 5. Both of them are down on pit road now. Out of the top 5, we're starting to see the last couple of dominoes fall from those still on track. Is it going to be this time for Kanata in the 16? It is not, as he stays out even further, as does Mark Arthur. 3rd place at this point is going to be Zachary Wake all the way back in turn 3. And Zachary Wake is going to stay out as well. So a number of drivers pulling an interesting strategy here. Caleb West staying out. Here comes Josh Kanata through turns 3 and 4 now. And finally, the race leader, Josh Kanata, the 16, is going to pull it down. Mark Arthur in the 12 will stay out on track and lead this lap in the Barbie machine. It's going to be a lap led on the board for the 12 of Mark Arthur as he stays out. And now Kanata's going to nail this pit sequence because he is going to be at a big disadvantage once he exits the pits. He is going to have a lot of ground to make up. Zachary Wake tries to get on pit road, but he slides sideways on entry for the 39, has to get it corrected, and does, as Mark Arthur now comes down out of the race lead onto pit road. And Zachary Wake does have a penalty for unsafe pit entry in the 39. He is going to be held in his box, unfortunately, as the 16 car drops the jack and hammers away, and we are going to update the gap as it makes itself known. No speeding penalty for the 16. Caleb West is our race leader in the 48 car, still hoping for a caution to advantage the 48 car, as is the 31 of Dyer, just behind in the double bubble machine here. These two could go a couple extra laps compared to the rest, and it looks like they are going to. The 48 of West continues to lead. Now here's our situation. Effective race leader Cody Gibson in the 7 car is ahead of teammate Jamie Walker. This is going to be the race lead as it cycles out. As a matter of fact, Gibson is just passed for 2nd place, and as soon as he gets around the 48 here, it will be for the race lead. Cody Gibson is currently, let's see, about 16 seconds ahead of Josh Kanata on track. There are 33 laps to go. Josh Kanata needs to make up, I believe, half a second or more per lap the entire rest of the way if he is going to get there. Now, here is the tire difference. Cody Gibson pit on lap 152. Josh Kanata pit on lap 164. 12 lap difference in the tires. 12 laps around Rockingham is a significant margin. Cody Gibson will be circulating at a much slower pace than what we'll see out of Josh Kanata, who has clean track right now to be circulating at whatever pace he deems necessary. Last time by, Cody Gibson ran a 24.64 to Josh Kanata's 23.88. 0.8 of a second faster this last time by. Josh Kanata is going to need to replicate that gap the rest of the way, or at least stay close to it, to get back up to the race leader. Sam Dyer is on pit road finally as we return to our race leader. Cody Gibson in the blue 7. Jamie Walker down to P2. Caleb West still needs to make his final pit stop. He's in 3rd. And then you got to go back quite a ways. Nick Crawford, Brian Zimmerman battle for P4, which will be P3 when the 48 car does finally come down. You got Christopher Norris back here in 6th place, and then Josh Kanata, who is charging ahead with a Fury. Last time by, race leader ran a 24.89 to Josh Kanata's 24.20. 0.6 of a second, just about 7 on that last lap by. So Josh Kanata is going to be closing in. And as a matter of fact, I think I might even have a tool here that I can use. If I pull this up right here, this might just get us what we need to get. Looking for the track map. Maybe the track map is broken. Let's see. Try 1 in 16. Perhaps not. It was worth a try. It was worth a try. We'll figure that out at some point with the track map not working. But anyway, Josh Kanata gets around Christopher Norris. He's back up into P5. Josh Kanata has another 11.5 seconds to go to get to race leader Cody Gibson on his tire advantage here. Cody Gibson just counting down the laps. 27 laps to go as he circulates a 1.5 seconds ahead of teammate Jamie Walker. Cody Gibson played that pit sequence to perfection, jumped his teammate, and now has the track position to do with as he wishes. At this point in the race, these guys up front are wanting a caution. Cody Gibson, Jamie Walker, Nick Crawford, they do not want to give Josh Kanata the chance to use those new tires all the way. They want to come down and get more of their own. If you are Josh Kanata in this situation, and you have 12 lap better tires than the race leader, you are wanting this to go green the entire rest of the way. You love how clear the racetrack is ahead of you. You don't have a lot of lap traffic to work around. You can close this gap big time. And Josh Kanata is going to be hoping that he can do so all the way. He does need to be careful that he doesn't burn off too much tire trying to push to close the gap, because if he does so, that pass is going to become near impossible if and when he gets there. Last time by, race leader ran a 25:19 to Josh Kanata's 24:55. He is still running good enough lap times to catch the 7 of Cody Gibson by the end of the race. That gap is 9 seconds at the line, and the yellow flag has flown. Issues for the 31 of Sam Dyer, and this changes everything in the closing run of the race. Cody Gibson, Jamie Walker, Nick Crawford, Brian Zimmerman breathe a sigh of relief as we see the 31 get into the 80 going through turns 1 and 2. And more contact on exit. Yes, more contact on exit. Right front to left rear with the wall in the way. That sends the 31 of Sam Dyer down to the inside, and that brings out the yellow. As we jump back to live scenes in time for this pit sequence right here, which is about to begin. This will be the money stop, assuming drivers have another set of tires to use. They're going to pull it down on pit road right here, and this is going to be for all the marbles. Don't forget, Jamie Walker has that first pit stall, coming in from second place with the first pit stall. If you nail your pit stop, you could very easily take the lead right here. The whole field's going to bring it down. All of our lead lap drivers, that's 11 lead lap drivers through that sequence, all make their way down. Ryan Rose is going to get the free pass under this yellow, the 78 car, last week's winner, back on the lead lap as everyone dives their way down into their respective pit boxes. And we will keep an eye on pit exit right here. What's the call? What's the strategy? And what are these drivers thinking to get themselves to the end of the race? We're going to have around 20 laps to go as the race off pit road ensues. We got a couple 2 tires. Brian Zimmerman, Christopher Norris are going to be the first ones off. And then we've got Gibson, Walker, Crawford, Kanata, Milnes, Klein, Arthur, and Marr. And we have ourselves a race. Brian Zimmerman, driver 22, out front and in control for the first time tonight with a 2-tire call on that pit sequence. But that's not it, because Christopher Norris in the 38, he's going to be joining Zimmerman on the front row with 2 tires of his own. These two are going to be at a disadvantage having only 2 tires. They did so to get the track position, but these guys are going to have their hands full with these race cars. Expect these race cars to be very loose and maybe even slide up the track on entry. So if they're being race tight on the outside, that might go poorly. These cars are not going to grip on entry the same way 4 tires will. And 4 tires, that's the name of the game. Second row on back. We're talking Cody Gibson, Jamie Walker in row 2. We're talking Nick Crawford, Josh Kanata in row 3. Everyone on back's got 4 tires, but that front row, they're going to try something different, and we're going to restart coming to lap 180 with about 21 laps to go. It is go time now if it ever has been. Let's not forget about wheel spin on these restarts, and that 2-tire call might be iffy on the wheel spin. Brian Zimmerman of the 22 is going to have control on this restart. That's a driver who we've seen struggle with wheel spin up to this point, and he's got 2 tires. Here we go then, into the restart zone. Zimmerman in control. Onto the loud pedal we go. It's not a great restart for the 22. He does keep his spot in line, but Norris is there on the outside. He's going to keep it pinned through turns 1 and 2. Can Christopher Norris do anything? No, because Cody Gibson's there on the inside. Here comes Gibson with 4 fresh tires down the back straightaway down into turn 3, trying to take over P2, but Christopher Norris is there, and he is going to fight it for all he's worth. The 2 tires aren't enough. He tries to hold off Walker, who goes down to the apron, and Zimmerman up front has to defend from a hard charging Cody Gibson in the 7 car. Crawford and Kanata battling a little further back. Norris keeps Walker pinned to the inside. Here comes Gibson for the race lead down into turn 3, working over Brian Zimmerman at the 22. Teammates at the front of the field. Is Zimmerman going to be able to hold on? He bounces off the wall, and Gibson takes over the race lead, now back in control of this race and on fresh tires. As we've got an issue further back, the 74 of Crawford gets sideways but keeps it corralled. The 5 got out of shape and keeps it straight. These drivers continue to race under green flag conditions, and Cody Gibson, the first driver on 4 tires, looks to run away from his nearest competition, the 20 of Jamie Walker, looking for his first win here in the All-American Racing League. Heartbreak for Brian Zimmerman, also looking for his first win. Can he make a charge back up front to try and catch Cody Gibson? We'll have to see as these two battle tight all the way down into turn 3. That's Milnes on the inside of Norris in the 30. Aiden Milnes, you can move on up to P4 as Walker continues to work over Zimmerman in the 22. We're sitting at 16 laps remaining through turns 1 and 2, watching the battle for the top 5 positions. Cody Gibson continues to run away and tries to become the first multi-winner here in the All-American Racing League. 7 races, 7 winners. Cody Gibson looks to end that streak tonight as, oh, we jump over just in time. Mark Arthur, Joseph Klein, big contact off of turn 4, and an incident on the front straightaway between the 5 and the 12. And we are going to need a replay on this one. Let's watch it from the sky, as these two were just getting passed up by Tanner Marr and coming through turns 3 and 4. Let's get the chopper view right here. Mark Arthur on the outside, Joseph Klein on the inside in that 5 machine. Off of turn 4, drifting up the track, following the tire tracks of Tanner Marr. It looks like this is just a car high situation for Klein in the 5. Gets into Mark Arthur, into the wall. That's going to send the both of them along for a ride. We saw what happened to the 5. Here's what happened to the 12. Gets that thing corralled, some dirt up on the track, no harm, no foul. And that puts us under caution for the 8th time tonight and sets us up for about a 10-lap shootout by the time the restart rolls around. Does anyone have any more tires? Do they elect to take them this time by? That is going to be the question. Field in the hands of Cody Gibson. Little bit of a mixed bag. Nick Crawford on back, going to bring down some takers. Nick Crawford, Mark Arthur, Samuel Garcia, Rob Higgs, Joseph Klein, Caleb West, all going to come down. That leaves the top 8 on track, staying out. Last pitting on lap 178. We are currently, that is about 9 laps ago, so the tire difference isn't huge. But here at Rockingham, that tire difference could very well be just enough for these drivers, and we will see how it plays out as we get ready for potentially the final restart of the night. Good to see my usual co-host out in chat. How's it going tonight, Tom? It's been quite the action-packed race here at Rockingham. Going over a lot better than Richmond 1 week ago. These drivers have done a pretty good job so far. We've seen some fuel strategy. We've seen some tire strategy. We've seen some hard racing up front, some trading the race lead. Good old-fashioned Rockingham race. All right, as it sits, the top 8, ending in Tanner Marr and Ryan Rose, have stayed out on track. The first drivers on brand new tires are going to be Samuel Garcia in the 50, currently running in P9, and Caleb West in the 48, currently running in P10. Nick Crawford had a very long pit stop, potentially had to get some damage fixed from another incident, did the 74, as it looks like his quest for his first career win here in the All-American Racing League may be postponed at least another week. Lights are out on the pace car. Cody Gibson is the control car in that blue number 7. To his outside, Brian Zimmerman, a driver who's holding on with only 2 tires. Might I remind you, row 2 is going to be Jamie Walker and Nolan Milnes. Milnes in the 1 car, back up into the conversation for the first time since stage 1. What could the 1 car do? As the pace car gets ready to pull off, field in the hands of Gibson. And here we go to the restart zone. Watch for that wheel spin. And that outside line doesn't get going very well. That's going to open the door for Milnes on the inside of Zimmerman. That may need a review a little later, depending on restart rules, and we've got issues further back. It looks like the field gets it sorted somehow, some way. I thought I saw somebody 90 degrees, but we are still racing as this kerfuffle continues to unfold. Here comes Kanata back up into the picture. Zimmerman falls multiple positions, continuing as the bleeding cannot be stopped, and now gets sideways into turn 1, holding on for dear life is Zimmerman in the 22. Cannot get that thing corralled. Finally does so as Josh Kanata looks to the inside of Nolan Milnes, a battle for P3 as he now goes high, maybe looks to get an arc down the front straightaway. He's not going to do it, and it looks like everyone has even out. 9 laps to go, and the field is chasing Cody Gibson in the race lead. Teammate Jamie Walker now with one clear objective. Go past your teammate and score your first career win. That is all Jamie Walker is thinking at this point in time. He is going to have 8 laps to do it at the line right here. We've seen Jamie Walker lead so many laps tonight. We've seen Jamie Walker lead so many races this season, but that 20 car has been hexed. Cannot find victory lane no matter what he tries. Is tonight the night as he chases down the 7 of Cody Gibson, a teammate looking to score his 2nd win on the season, looking to become the first driver to score multiple wins in the All-American Racing League. That is what it is coming down to between Gibson and Walker. The difference is 0.6 of a second down the back straightaway with 7 laps to go. Milnes in 3rd, trying to close the gap, but he is not having much luck. Samuel Garcia has already worked his way up to P4. Let's not forget that Samuel Garcia is the first car on 4 fresh tires as of this last caution. His tire advantage is about 9 laps, but not all 9 of those laps were under green flag conditions. So it's an advantage, but it might not be enough. It might be a little too late for the 50 car. He might be able to get to Milnes here. Through 3 and 4, we're going to work 5 laps to go at the start-finish line. High five over the speedway as we continue to watch this battle start to shape up for P3. Cody Gibson holding strong at 0.6 of a second over teammate Jamie Walker. That is the battle for the race lead as we run, and Garcia is closing. He is going to have a look to the inside of Milnes down into turn 3. He's got the tire advantage. How hard can Milnes fight to keep this podium spot? Through 3 and 4, he'll keep it pinned on the outside, but is the tire advantage too much to deal with? Down the front straightaway and into 1, Garcia is going to clear and take the position, but with only 4 laps to go, he's going to need a caution if he wants a chance at the race win, as Gibson has opened up the lead now to 7, almost 0.8 of a second, working through 3 and 4. The 7 car struggled early in stages 1 and 2, kept losing positions, couldn't find a rhythm, couldn't find track position, but he did so with the green flag pit sequence in stage 3, found himself the lead. A caution came out at the right time. He didn't have to worry about Josh Kanata's 12-lap better tires. The field was equalized, and more importantly, he got ahead of his teammate Jamie Walker with that pit stop. Now the 7 car in control is going to see 2 laps remaining at the line, looking to secure his 2nd win on the season, his first coming at Dover earlier this season. Cody Gibson hoping to stay green for the remainder of this lap, and then whatever happens may happen through 3 and 4 for the penultimate time. He sees Walker fading, or actually getting closer. Walker's closed the gap, and Gibson gets into the wall. Hard contact into the outside wall. White flag. Here comes Jamie Walker into turn 1. He's going to take the lead because Gibson cannot keep the momentum out of turn 2. Gibson's going to have a chance to fight back, and here comes Garcia in the 50 down into turn 4. Turn 3 for the final time. Walker with the lead. He is going to hold on, and when all luck was gone, here it is, Jamie Walker. You are a winner in the All-American Racing League in the craziest turn of events that I have seen to end a race in quite a while. Give it up for the Home Depot machine. Jamie Walker has finally broken through to win in the All-American Racing League. He was there, he put the pressure on, and Cody Gibson could not hold on to the race lead. A slip-up coming to the white flag opens the door, and Jamie Walker gets it done. That officially makes it 8 winners in 8 races here in the All-American Racing League. We are still yet to see our first repeat winner as Jamie Walker celebrates for the first time here in the All-American Racing League here in Rockingham. Polish victory lap for Walker, driver of the 20. Going to take that machine all the way around the outside of the circuit. Provisional top 3, who we're going to speak to, is going to be Jamie Walker, Cody Gibson, and Samuel Garcia, who may have just had a whiff of what could have been after that wall contact from Gibson in the closing moments. Let's go ahead and move up our drivers here and get ready to share a few words with these guys. And where's the last one I need? Maybe already up there. Ah, yes he is, yes he is. All right, why don't we start with our 3rd place finisher? And I've got our 3rd place finisher right here, Samuel Garcia, driver of the 50, and I think if I'm not mistaken, you're no stranger to charging late on an extra set of tires, as it happened earlier this season, but just came up with maybe a few laps too few. But I tell you what, Samuel, coming to the white flag, Cody Gibson slams the wall, and all of a sudden the 2 race leaders are right on your front bumper. What's going through your mind?
I was just really hoping those 2 make a mistake. I was really hoping either Cody or Jamie, they run into each other. I'll just be there to, take advantage of that. And but no, unfortunately that didn't happen. And I tried throwing a little Hail Mary going to turn 3, but didn't stick exactly. But I would definitely take this 3rd place finish. Saving a set really, was the smart move. I was really hoping a caution came out, which thankfully did, which gave me fresh new tires, and I was able to move up to 3rd place. And I'll definitely take this. I'll definitely take 3rd.
Absolutely can't complain with a 3rd place run, and it all works out in the end, taking that extra set tonight here at Rockingham after 200 laps. A pretty grueling time over the past 2 weeks. 200 laps here, 200 laps in Richmond, but next week we get to turn our attention to a much bigger track, as we are now looking forward to Michigan in 1 week's time. We're going to kind of change the pace around a little bit. How are you feeling about a bigger track like Michigan?
I feel really great about Michigan. I've had great history running at Michigan. I usually run pretty well there, so I'm really looking forward to that. And hopefully I can make it this next Saturday, because I've been missing races, and it's dropped me lower in the standings. But hopefully I can make return to these races full time, and hopefully I can sneak my way into the playoffs. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward next week. Try to get as much practice as I can throughout the week. And yeah, I feel really good about Michigan.
Absolutely. We love to hear it, and we hope to see you out there. Sam, I'm going to open up the floor to you to give any shout-outs, hays, highs, and thank yous before we let you celebrate.
Yeah, of course. I'd like to do a shout-out to my family, friends for watching. Much appreciated for them to watching this race. And shout-out to my teammates, Amped Up Racing, or Motorsports, whatever it's called, with Joshua Kanata. He had a good run. Nick Crawford, Christopher Norris, Dakota. Unfortunately, he wrecked out early. It's a bummer. And then we got Sam Dyer, who was in the race chat too as well. And just want to give a quick little shout out to my YouTube channel, Apex 50. You can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. And shout out to you, of course, for putting on the show. And yeah, much appreciated.
Absolutely. There we have it. Congrats again, Samuel Garcia, on your 3rd place run. And with that, we have our runner-up in absolutely heartbreaking fashion. Cody Gibson, you come home at the end in P2, but I tell you what, if you didn't give me one of the most interesting calls that I have ever had, walk me through just everything that happened.
on the last lap or through the whole race?
Hey, take your pick.
Well, last lap, I looked at my relative and pretty much said, "Hey, I got a 7/10 lead, and I'm going to slow roll 3 and 4." And I don't know what happened. I got back in the gas and it just pushed to the wall, and I was like, "Oh crap! Here we go." Luckily, I was saved it, but then again, luckily it was also a league teammate, so I'd rather have him have it than anybody else. So congrats on him. But I kind of found something in 3 and 4 in the middle of stage 2 that was working, and that was able for me to keep up with I think it was Josh and Jamie, because they were like the class act of the field. And once I found my groove, I kind of was able to hang with them. So I mean, I felt pretty confident. P2, can't gripe too much about that, but yeah, I did hand it away.
Fair enough, and I tell you what, it does make it an exciting moment. It also does keep the streak alive. 8 different winners in 8 races. You were so close to snapping that streak. And I tell you what, asking everyone around the table here, we're just coming off of 400 grueling laps between Richmond and here in Rockingham. But now we get to open it up a little bit and go to the complete opposite style of racing. We're going to head out to Michigan and really change things up a little bit. So coming off of a second place here, coming off of not a great race in Richmond, how are you feeling heading to Michigan to just kind of reset?
Feel pretty comfortable at Michigan. Usually run pretty good there, as long as I can save my right front, and as long as the car handles well. So hopefully I'm back up here in the booth next week, or if not, at least top 10.
Absolutely. That's the plan. Well, I tell you what, we'll open up the floor to you, Cody, to give any hays and highs, shout-outs you might have.
All right, shout out to you for putting the broadcast on. Then all my teammates there at Five Kings, we all help each other out. I appreciate each and one of them. So thank you for doing what you do, and all the league drivers that come in and support the league.
Absolutely. Congrats again on the runner-up finish, and we will see you in 1 week's time. That brings us to the big winner on the day, and what was an absolutely insane finish. I tell you what, walk me through your race as a whole, Jamie, but then kind of in more detail, just suddenly your teammate in the lead is in the wall and the white flag is flying.
Yeah, it's a heartbreak for him, man. He flat out beat me there on the pit stops there and was able to get the track position on me. And yeah, he's the one that earned it, but he screwed it up. And luckily, still strong enough to be there to capitalize.
Absolutely. I tell you what, you spent a lot of this race kind of up at the front or running kind of up in the top 3 positions throughout the race. You also saw a lot of competition from a number of different drivers who kind of had different people show up at different times. Was there like any point in the race where you kind of felt like you were the car to beat? Did it feel like there was a lot of you guys who were kind of at the same pace? Was there maybe one driver who you really didn't want to see there at the end?
Truthfully, Chris, he had a lot. Chris Carroll in the, I don't know what number he was, I think the 51. He had a lot better long run speed than what I had. I had the good short to medium run, but I had nothing for him on a long run, and that's the car I was worried about. I seen he had some issues there late in the race, and then I started, putting things together, and then Cody somehow was able to sneak out in front of me, and I had to figure out a way to get by him.
Absolutely. As it goes sometimes, those pesky green flag pit stop sequences. And I tell you what, just walk me through. This is your first win here in the All-American Racing League, but it could very well be, going on your 3rd or 4th at this point. You've had a lot of opportunities that have come and gone and just barely slipped away. Does that make finally getting the win here in this league a little more special?
Makes it a little more special just for the fact that I know I'm locked into the playoffs now. I can just race and have fun, not worry about making sure I'm in the show. Just have fun now.
Absolutely. That's a great point and a great way to look at it, as you are now the 8th driver locked in, and those spots are going quick. Well, I tell you what, Jamie, I will open up the floor to you, big winner on the day, to give any shout-outs, any hays and highs to anyone you might have watching.
First and foremost, everybody up here in the broadcast, I can't thank you guys enough for taking time out of your day to watch us go around here. Can't thank you. And everybody on my I'm not used to saying the the 20 car, but you used to saying the 88. Hopefully we're getting that changed next week. So yeah, I want to appreciate everybody for watching.
Absolutely. Congrats again on the big win, Jamie, and we'll see you in 1 week's time. That is our race winner on the day. Driver of the 20, it may be future driver of the 88 by the sounds of it, but doing that Polish victory lap there, getting those burnouts in. Let's go ahead and take a look, if we can, at live scenes over the racetrack. Let's get our final results shown on screen here and recap tonight's event here in Rockingham. After 200 laps, Jamie Walker is the big winner on the day in a surprise finish, beating out Cody Gibson in the closing moments. Cody Gibson comes home in P2 ahead of Samuel Garcia, rounding out the podium. In P4, it's going to be Nolan Mills ahead of Josh Kanata in 5th place. Christopher Norris comes home in 6th, Ryan Rose with a P7, Nick Crawford in 8th, and rounding out the top 10 is going to be Tanner Marr and Caleb West. In 11th place, it's going to be Rob Higgs ahead of Brian Zimmerman in P12. P13th is going to be Brad Holmes ahead of Joseph Klein in 14th, and Mark Arthur rounds out the top 15. Trevor Harmon's going to come home in 16th, 17th William Bruton, Matthew Pavlik, Sam Dyer, and Zachary Wake round out the top 20 in that order. 21st is going to be Antonio Bannister, 22nd Chris Carroll, Jackson West in 23rd, 24th Joshua O'Brien, 25th Brian Troy, and rounding out the field of 27, Larry Bell and Dakota Moniz. With those results done and away, race 8 is in the books. Officially, unofficial, of course, pending any post-race details that will all be revealed next week if necessary. But as it sits right now, we've got 8 winners in 8 races, 8 drivers locked into the playoffs, and that picture is getting very, very tight as it sits. We're going to have to start points racing amongst those who have wins before too long here. But nonetheless, that is it for me. That is it for us here at the All-American Racing League tonight here in Rockingham. In 1 week's time, we'll be back, same time, same place, for some racing action in the high banks of Michigan. My home track, my neck of the woods. Looking forward to calling that race with all of you guys here alongside. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Make sure you don't miss out on any of the racing action here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.